Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a very special, I thought I could say Wednesday afternoon. I'm all over the days this week, but a very special Thursday afternoon edition. Dave here from Emporia Brands, and we thought it'd be a really good opportunity to take a look at what Stockholms Bränneri is all about. It's a brand we've had for a couple of years now, and it's been doing very, very well in showcasing that gin is not just after come from the UK, the big gin bin we've had in the last couple of years, but we've had some very fascinating experiences from Scandinavia, in particular Sweden itself as well. And because of that, we came across a fantastic brand in Stockholm, obviously capital city of Sweden. And regarding that, we've got a great opportunity to have a chat and a showcase of what Stockholms Bränneri is all about. As you can see, we have Jessica from Stockholms itself and Cal next to her as the co-owner. I was going to give you all the credit then, but the co-owner of Stockholms Bränneri. And below we have Karis of Local Selects, who has been a big advocate for Stockholms Bränneri since last October by putting together an amazing Stockholm city-focused box. I'm going to let her chat about that a little bit later. But Jessica, I want to focus straight onto yourselves first, because I can see that we're in the heart of Stockholms Bränneri in Sweden itself. I'm guessing, is it a little bit cold outside at the moment?
It's a little cold. Well, today is actually a little bit warmer. I think it's -5 or something, yeah. So it's quite warm.
Last week
only
was
-5.
15, -15.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay. Well, I will get you to start walking around a little bit so you can warm up. But guys, do you want to give us an idea what Stockholm's all about? You know, why have we got to where we are today? What started the story of Stockholm's?
Yeah, for sure. Yes, hello, welcome. My name is Carl Wikner, and like you said, I'm one of the co-founders of the Stockholms Bränneri. So I founded this company together with Anna, my partner and wife as well, back in 2015 and 16. 15, 16. We moved into this space in 2016. So now we're turning 5 years old, actually, now in 2021. So it's a big year for us.
Fantastic. So obviously in 5 years, you are literally the first distillery or gin distillery in Stockholm itself. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. So in Sweden, there have been a couple of whiskey distilleries before. There have been one gin distillery before us up in Härnösand, but we are the first distillery in Stockholm, the first gin distillery as well in Stockholm, and I think the first distillery in the city center since, I don't know, since they started closing down distilleries back 100 years ago. So it's great to bring back the art of distilling and the craft distilling into the city center. So now we're situated on Södermalm, which is south part of the city, but still very much in the city center of Stockholm.
Fantastic. And it's an old Jaguar site as well, isn't it? A car site.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So it's a nice tie to UK cars. So it was the space was in Jaguar workshop from the beginning 100 years ago, and up until I think the 50s, 60s, and then it was a bakery. It was like a bike workshop until we finally pitched to the Bostadsrättsförening, which is basically the housing union here. Okay. That they should have a distillery and actually a brewery in the cellar or in the basement, and they agreed. So at the start in 2016, we moved in here together with a brewery. Yes, it's been a very exciting, and actually in the beginning we only had half the space, but now recently we took over the other half. So now we actually have the full Jaguar workshop as it was, with two entry doors, one for the cars coming in and one for the cars coming out. So now it's bottles and boxes and stuff coming in on one side, and then gin coming out on the other side.
Fantastic. Okay. So obviously that was 5 years ago when you first took on the Jaguar space to grow what is now obviously an award-winning, internationally driven brand. I believe you just started to launch in America, haven't you, from what I saw?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you should see our right now. Oh, we're bottling. Just going to show you the American flags, because we're doing the first batch for the US. Actually, 2 containers of gin that we're sending in March. So it's a fun project, and big bottles as well, which is fun.
Fantastic. I'm going to say it's probably a litre bottles for you there, isn't it? Or 70.
Yeah, exactly. 7. What's it called? It's
750 mils.
Yeah.
750 mil.
Big ones compared to the standard one.
It's fantastic that in 5 years you can safely say you're now an international brand. But what was the reason to sort of kick it off in the first place? You know, what made you go for gin, and what made you obviously to be the first one in Stockholm itself?
Yeah, so me and Anna, we're engineers, both of us, actually, and we worked a couple of years in Stockholm, but then we moved to Vancouver in Canada. So worked and lived in Vancouver. We worked within the fashion industry over there, but we've always had a huge passion for food and for drinks, and always wanted to work within that space. And in Vancouver, it's such an entrepreneurial city where a lot of people move just to live there, and a lot of people start up businesses a lot within food and drink. So there are breweries, and there are ice cream makers, and there are distilleries, and all kinds. So we got to know actually a few people that had small scale distilleries in the city centers, in the city center over there, and got to know them, started experimenting ourselves. We got, I can show you the first still that we had in the apartment in Vancouver.
Wow.
So this is our small museum. So this glass still is the first still that we used in the
That's
apartment.
not what I was expecting.
Sorry?
That's not what I expected then.
No, exactly. It's 250 milliliters, and the backside is 500 milliliters. So that was the first still, and this is the second still that we used. So this is I think it's 5 liters, a 5 liter still. Yes, so that's where it started in the apartment in Vancouver, experimenting. We were out picking all kinds of stuff and distilling, and then somewhere around there we came up with the idea that it would be fun to make a gin, and then from that hobby it turned into, hey, we should try to start a urban distillery in Stockholm, similar to the ones that were over both in Vancouver, but also along the west coast in the US, in Portland, Seattle, San Francisco. Yeah, so it started there, and grew into an idea, and then we moved back to Stockholm in 2015, and then we actually had already bought the first big still, so the third still.
Oh, okay. So I have to admit, obviously, it's great to sort of see an initial idea, especially the size of the stills you were using. I'm sure it's fascinating to sort of go from that size to get bigger and bigger and bigger, head back to Stockholm and essentially put it into practice. I mean, it's very, very small batch for what you guys do. I know you've got a much larger range in Sweden itself compared to what we have here in the UK. But your social media always shows off some fascinating ideas, and it really hammers home. Now we get a good understanding of your background and Anna's as well. Of just, it's not in my mind, and I think from what we can see from Emporia, it's not just you doing it for another slice of the gin pie that was happening over the last couple of years. You've got a bit of reasoning behind it, and it shows in both the craftsmanship and the way that Stockholm's Branneri is showcased as well. So fair play to you guys.
Yeah, thank you so much.
So I believe Jessica's going to show us around the distillery and give us a bit of a showcase of some gin as well.
Exactly. So Jessica is.
I will. Sådär.
Yeah.
Hey everybody, welcome to the rest of Stockholms Bränneri. So we are a little distillery compared to many of the big distilleries that are out there in the world. But I will take you further into production here that we have today, so you can get a little glimpse of how the rest of the distillery looks like. At the moment, it's actually very spacious. It's not normally this spacious, but that's because we've just knocked down a wall next door to make our distillery almost double as big. So that happened last week. So we're very excited about the progress there. So we will come into production where actually Peter is working very hard. There he is. So this is the rest of the distillery. You can see the first pan that we bought there. That was a 350 liter pan called Fåfängan, which means vanity in Swedish, because she's very vain and beautiful. So she's in the corner there. Unfortunately, I can't go in because it is an ATEX zone, so we have to stay with electronics on this side, but you can see her in the corner. Some days we can't really see her, so we're really happy that today you can. And then we have on the other side her big sister. This is Bleckan from, we named her after a park in the area, from Blecktornsparken. And she can do 1,200 liter batches, so a big step up. And she came in 2018. So we do most of our big batches, so our dry, our pink, our oak, and our akvavit on Bleckan to get our be more efficient. And then on Fåfängan, we sort of do more experiments. So that's where we maybe throw in a few more crazy ingredients and test things. We do a lot of work with bars and restaurants in Stockholm or all over Sweden. So we use Fåfängan for some more fun things over on the side. But this, and then there was a wall there. So you see that big hole, that is now the other half of the distillery, which we're really excited about having because it's been cramped in here. A lot of Tetris in the morning, getting things in and out. So we're excited about the new stages for Stockholms Bränneri. And these are all of our delivery that's going off to the US. I think we're going to have 30 different pals, big storage things off to the US. So that's going to be great. Let me just flip this camera back around. There we go. Perfect. So now we're in the bar for Stockholms Bränneri. We have a little bar here, which we like to have events in. Sometimes we open up the distillery on Fridays so people can come in and have some drinks, talk to us, and have a good time. Sometimes we have different companies that come in and have events, or sometimes it's just private people. So it's nice to have a bar here, and it's here we sit and work most of the time as well, in the middle of the bar. So it's a good place to be. But today we're going to talk a little bit about our products. You have 4 different products of us in England, I believe.
You do indeed.
And the number 1 is, of course, our dry gin. It's our first product that we released. Good to see you have a bottle there. Perfect. Got to have a bottle. So this was actually a recipe that Anna and Kalle did for their wedding. They were going to get married on an island out in the Swedish archipelago, and there they could go and pick some of the ingredients that are in this dry gin, and that's still the recipe that we use today. We're just doing it on a bit of a larger scale. We're not out there picking anymore, unfortunately. But it's still got the same fantastic flavor that they had for their first batch of gin. So our dry gin, and I'm sure everyone that's watching in England, you have a pretty good knowledge of the history of gin and what that contains and everything else.
We're still convinced we were the guys who created it back in the 1600s anyway, so.
Yeah, I mean, most of the world is convinced that you were the first ones to create it. So you've done that successfully there. So we still use a very traditional base for our dry gin. This is all the different spices that we have for the dry gin. So we have our juniper, of course, and it's mostly juniper in that one. Then coriander, angelica root. And then we come into a little bit more of a Scandinavian touch here with our heather and our elderflower. And then we have also citrus peel and rosemary. So 7 different ingredients in this one to give it that perfect
is there any specific citrus within that?
It is lemon peel.
Lemon peel. Okay. Cool.
Exactly. But a lot of the citrus flavor actually comes from the coriander seeds that is in this one. And we, as gin producers, we love drinking our gin as it is, straight. But this one also is obviously perfect with a tonic. But if you have a bottle of this at home, I do recommend that you try it straight, just to really feel if you can experience the flavors. So we can, if you're at home, you can color of a little glass. And this one, I think on the nose, it's very, it's quite floral. When I first started working here, I'd really never worked with heather before. You don't eat heather or drink heather. So I made a tea with the heather that we have here. And now I can tell it's very, very much strong heather tones on the nose there. Then also this citrusy flavor definitely comes through. And then you're all welcome to have a drink of this one. I'm actually not going to have a drink because I'm pregnant, but everyone else.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. But it's also very, very citrusy. It's quite a clean gin. It's very subtle, and I think it's very easy to drink just as it is. But of course, you can also make a great gin and tonic with this one. So I can actually, I thought I was going to make a good little gin and tonic today. So let's see if I can angle this down. Ooh, yep. So we do a perfect serve with our dry gin. It's always, you see it best. We do it with a very neutral tonic. There's so many different tonics out there in the world. England's got an explosion. Sweden has its own explosion. I think even in the box that you can order, there's some tonics in there from Sweet Tonic. And we always recommend that we have a very neutral tonic with our gins, because we want you to be able to experience the flavor of our gin, for it to shine through. Of course, this is delicious with a rhubarb tonic or something else as well. But for us, it's always, we want the gin to shine through. So for this one, we will do a very neutral tonic with this one. Let me see if I've got everything.
Please, what's the Swedish tonic you have in your box?
We have one neutral tonic, and then we do have one alternating flavour one, just because if people wanted the option, they can have it. But yeah, I agree with yeah, the neutral tonic is really nice with it. And we have kind of pushed that out with the grapefruit and the rosemary, I think, that's been recommended by you guys as well. But yeah, it's really nice.
Fantastic. So yeah, we do our gin and tonics. We always like to have a nice balance between the gin and the tonic. So we do 4 centiliters of gin. Then we take our neutral tonic. Today I have a different tonic with us, not the sweet tonic, unfortunately, but it's just a neutral tonic will work. And then we garnish with, yes, a slice of grapefruit and a little bit of rosemary. And I mean, this gin will work with the most garnishes or anything else, but we think this is just a perfect combination. Yeah. So one of my lucky colleagues will get to drink this one instead of me today. So
I'm a little bit jealous. I'm lacking tonic. Of all things, I haven't got any in the house at the moment, so
well, you can enjoy yours straight instead. That's perfect.
Filling gum.
Perfect, good to see. So this one was really a big step for us, and the Swedish alcohol system is very different to the rest of the world. All of the bottle shops are owned by the government, and it's all very controlled. But we got up onto the shelves in these government alcohol shops very quickly with this one, and that's a big step as a distillery to be able to reach the right amount of customers. So that was very exciting when that happened for us. And now we even export to many different countries. So we're happy how this one has survived the test of time as well, these 5 years. So it's very good. It's our mothership here. Then we have also our pink gin, which also is available in the UK. And this was sort of our summer, exactly, beautiful pink gin. This is our summery gin. So we released this in 2018. And that was actually an extremely warm summer in Sweden. It was sort of 30 degrees, which for us is heat waves, probably the same in London. So it was a great time to release a gin that's really perfect in a gin and tonic. And we wanted to have something that would reflect sort of the Swedish summer. There's a lot of beautiful pink sunsets. Everyone in Sweden drinks rosé at summertime. So we wanted something that would sort of complement that. So we have our pink gin. And this one has a bit of a different ingredients. It's got more heather and more elderflower, but also rose petals and even some rhubarb. So we throw the rhubarb in the pan there as well. which means cleaning the day after we've distilled this is a little bit more painful. It's kind of like a jam in the bottom, but it's also a beautiful gin. And then you're probably wondering why it's pink, because when you distill, it's never going to have a color. So this one, we actually add something that is called lingonberries, which I don't think they exist in the UK, right?
Not I'm aware of, no.
No. Okay, so it's I think it's now a superfood, so maybe it's a super gin here. So they're a special berry that grows out in the forest in Sweden. They're quite tart. There's not that much sugar in them, but they're very, very red. So after we've distilled the whole batch, we add 2 big bags of these lingonberries for 2 hours, and then we take them out, and it gives this sort of pink color, which you can see on this bottle. But you might also notice that the color changes over time. Yours is a little bit more salmony, I think.
I was going to say, yeah, it's not as, I'm not saying it's a vibrant color first off, but it obviously has lost its edge a little bit. It's
exactly
a lot more straw color now.
Yeah, so it definitely happens over time. When it's first been infused with these lingonberries, it's almost like a purple color, and over time it changes. So if it stands in the sun, it also loses the color quite quickly. But I normally recommend to people in Sweden, if they're losing the color, that they put some lingonberries in it and then take them out. But maybe it's harder to find in the UK, so you'll just have to drink it instead.
Have to drink it quick enough.
Exactly. So this one is, yeah, more of a summery gin and tonic here. And this one, we also serve our summery gin and tonic. We do it with lingonberries as a garnish. And we actually recommend it with a Mediterranean tonic instead of a normal one, just to lift our pink one as well. So I'm going to make another gin and tonic today.
Have you got any lingonberries with you at the moment?
Pardon?
Have you got any of the lingonberries there with you at the moment?
Absolutely. I'm going to show you some of the lingonberries so you can see what they look like.
Yeah.
They are, they maybe don't look so beautiful, but they're tiny. They're kind of tiny little berries. Kind of like a red blueberry. Not the same flavor. So it's a special, unique northern ingredient, perhaps. So again, with this one, we normally do the ratio of gin to tonic. One part gin, 2 parts tonic normally works perfectly. So you can focus on the gin as well. You can always add more tonic. You can't take more tonic out. So that's how it starts. So for this one, we're using Fever Tree. Easy to get your hands on. They're British, yes?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They're taking over the world.
One country at a time.
One country at a time. So no, we think it goes really well with our pink gin. So I recommend that you try that actually for a perfect gin and tonic. And just a few lingonberries, and you get a little summery gin and tonic. Nice. This one also you can garnish with rhubarb for you guys that don't have lingonberries in summertime. Just a little twist of rhubarb. It's a very nice way to enjoy your pink gin.
I've enjoyed the pink gin and a French 75 as well, as a sort of a different take.
Definitely.
Which obviously works great for cocktail-driven bars and restaurants who obviously love a good gin and tonic, but like to offer and showcase what obviously a great gin as yourselves can really do. So okay, it's a classic cocktail, but it's a different outlook for it. Good.
Absolutely. No, I think, and the pink one has been really nice to see that so many bartenders have experimented with it. We also like making a pink paloma with our pink gin, which is also really, a nice, fresh, summery drink that you can do with that one as well. So
is it something you could drink in winter though, even though it's a summer-driven flavor? Absolutely,
and that's when we first released it. We thought that it would only sell in the summertime. But for the winter, it's been very popular. They sell almost just as much pink as we do dry gin in the winter. So it's nice to see that it's popular all year round. Also very popular as a present. You know, it looks beautiful. It's, a souvenir from Sweden. It's a perfect souvenir, really. So it's a nice bottle to have there in the collection. And we were one of the first in Sweden with pink gin. That's now become a whole category of its own, both for good and bad.
It has indeed.
Yeah, so it's nice to have that.
Fantastic. Jessica, I've got a question though, because obviously the
Yes.
bottles themselves have a very apothecary sort of look to it. Was there any particular reason why everyone went for that design?
Absolutely, it was definitely reflecting on this. You know, gin was seen as a medicine in the beginning, so we did really want to reflect on this sort of medicinal apothecary style. So that was always the plan from the beginning, to have, especially the dark ones, that we really wanted that style in the bottle. Then we've also changed the bottle. Now we have actually it engraved in the bottle. I don't know if they're.
Oh yeah.
Have you got that on your bottle or?
No.
No, there you go. These are the new ones. So next delivery maybe. So now it even says you know, our brand on the bottle, which is a really nice touch for us, because we also see people reuse our bottles for flowers or vases or whatever.
Yeah,
so
I've seen a few of the customers from Local Selects like keeping them as almost home decorations and stuff. So it's really nice. It's really nice bottle.
It's really nice to see. I mean, good for the environment as well. So no, we're really happy that people like the bottle so much, and it's yeah, it's a very distinct form. It really sticks out in the bottle shop, but also at home. So it's nice to have. Then our design is also, it's a little bit medicinal. It's kind of like very clean, easy to read. So we also wanted to reflect that in the design of the sticker as well, which was done by Kalle Backman, a good friend of ours here in Stockholms Bränneri, and he helps us with the design for all of our permanent products. It's definitely him. Then sometimes we work with a different bar or restaurant, and we like to see if they can do a little variation of our design as well, which is always good fun.
That's it. I can say, because with the label, obviously you've got both print and then it's like written on with some of the more major botanicals within the bottle. So it, to me, it has that real sort of handcraft element. You know, into the bottle, I'm going to write on what's in it. Let's get it sent out to the shops and bars. So I like that sort of crisscross promotion there for it.
Yeah, and in the beginning, it was actually Anna that wrote on every single bottle. She wrote the bottle number, the alcohol percent, and even the ingredients. Now, unfortunately, we're doing such large volumes that we had to save her hands and create a font. It's her handwriting, but just as a font, so it's automatically printed. She was quite upset when we were changing. She was worried we were going to lose the craftsmanship vibe. But I think, I mean, it still works, and there's much better ways we can use her time. So it's been an update for us, which is very good. I can see also if I can find the bottling machine, the labeling machine we had before, because I don't know if you can call it a machine actually. This is the labeling machine that we used before. So it's, yeah, quite basic. You'd label everything across here and wrap them all. So we've upgraded since then to a machine that we call the Dragon that helps for the bottling there. And now when we're expanding into the next premises next door, then we're also going to be a little bit more effective with how we're bottling and doing everything here. In the beginning, it's, you know, it's a little bit grassroots. You just, you know, want things to work and maybe make some simple solutions. But now it's time that we upgrade a little bit. So it's exciting. It's good for us to really expand and challenge us a little bit more. So it's good. Definitely. And then I think you also have our oak gin in the UK. Correct. This is a wonderful gin, one of my favorites actually, with the yellow color. And oak gin is what we actually call our sipping gin. So this one is absolutely designed to drink as it is. And this one is a little bit special because this gin, once we've done with distilling, we put it onto old bourbon barrels. So when you make bourbon, you can only use the barrels one time. So they get sent to bars and restaurants and breweries and distilleries all over the world, including us. So we get these barrels, we redo them to smaller sizes so that we can handle them a little bit easily. And then we let this gin sit on these bourbon barrels for 54 days. And during that time, they absorb a little bit of this bourbon character as well. So it's much more of a vanilla flavor, almost caramelly flavor that comes with this gin. but it's perfect to drink just as it is.
It's a higher ABV as well, isn't it?
It is a higher ABV. So the first two were 40%, but this one's actually 45. And that's it. Even though it is a higher ABV, it's sort of rounded off a little bit by the bourbon barrels. And we've also got different ingredients in this one. So this one has a little bit of orange peel and something that's called long pepper, so Indonesian long pepper, which is actually, it's a little bit like a Szechuan pepper. It gives you that warm feeling on your mouth. So it's a nice way of also peppering up this little bourbon gin that we have here. So I think this one, for me, this one is perfect in the winter time, maybe in front of a fire, or if you're feeling a little bit chilly, it's perfect to warm up with this one. Or in summer, you can add maybe an ice cube, a twist of orange peel, so it becomes a little bit fresher as well.
Liking the sound of that.
Yeah.
And obviously this actually got some great recognition at San Francisco the last couple of years as well, hasn't it?
It's definitely, yeah, it's a growing thing. And cask gin in general, I think, is growing across the world. People are seeing the opportunity to experiment with flavor, different types of casks, all sorts of different things. So I think it's also something we will experiment with as well, because it's fun to see what you can do, how you can change a product, both for the better or for the worse. Maybe it won't be better on a bourbon barrel or on a different barrel, but it's nice to experiment with as well and figure out what you can do with it.
Is there any specific brands of American whiskey distilleries you tend to sort of go for? I know with American whiskey, with different levels of char, which could obviously affect your ideas. Is there a specific type you go for?
With this one, we worked with Heaven Hill Distillery to use their bourbon barrels, and that one worked really well for us. For us, the hardest part is finding how long it's going to sit on these barrels, because too short amount of time, it won't get much flavor. Too long amount of time, maybe it takes over for Micke, too much, sorry. So it's something that we've focused on, but we're talking about testing different barrels. So we're open to testing from all sorts of distilleries, because of course the first product that's in there is going to also affect the second product. And maybe someone will want to do something with these barrels after we've done them a few times as well. So it could be a never-ending cycle here of barrels going around the world. But it's very exciting and nice to work with. And then the last bottle that you have here, which you're probably all quite curious about, is our akvavit. This one, the green bottle. This akvavit, maybe you don't know so much about the history of akvavit. It is, I like to think that it's Sweden's version of gin. In England, you've always drunk gin. Gin is a clear, spiced spirit. In Sweden, everyone has always drunk akvavit. This is what you drink in any holiday, when it's Easter, if it's Christmas, if it's midsummer, you drink akvavit. And it is also a clear, spiced spirit. So for us to do an akvavit was quite obvious. Our focus has been gin, but we wanted to make something that is maybe a little bit more Scandinavian. So this is like a little bit of a marriage between the two, between an akvavit and a gin. So with the definition of gin, you have to have juniper and other botanicals. So this one, it has juniper and it has other botanicals. So we could call it a gin, but we don't. We call it an akvavit, and as an akvavit, you have to have fennel, you have to have dill, or you have to have cumin, spiced cumin. So with one of those three ingredients, then you can call it an akvavit. And this one has all three. So this has dill, this has cumin, and this has fennel. So it gives quite a different character to a normal gin. And this one has been quite fun to experiment with because it's also, I think, drinking it as a gin and tonic is fantastic. It's very summery. It's also got elderflower in it. So that really lifts it. For me, this tastes like summer. But then you can also drink it straight, as a Swede would do it, have it as a shot and sing your song beforehand. That's a great way to enjoy your akvavit, ice cold. But then you can also do, fantastic martinis with this, or Negronis, or anything. It's a very versatile product. But you kind of have to like the dill flavor, which I don't know how much you use dill in the UK.
It's not as popular as I think it should be. I think a lot of chefs would use it over bartenders. It's interesting because the very first time I went to Stockholm was I think 2017, maybe 16, and it was predominantly for akvavit. I had no idea. I knew of it. I knew a handful of places here in Manchester that stocked it, but didn't really know how to use it. So I went over to sort of experience, and the very first drink I had with akvavit was with carrot juice.
Oh,
Yeah, and I was
wow.
like, well, it's bright orange. That's intriguing me all already.
Yeah.
And it's like the flavor profiles works amazing. I was like, what's in it? And she explained what akvavit was. I'm like, wow, that's akvavit in carrot
Yeah.
juice. I know what carrot juice tastes like. And it worked amazing. It was, well, I had a fair few, let's put it that way.
You normally do.
Yeah. Well, I suppose that a lot of people here in the UK who are unfamiliar with, I suppose, the Scandinavian, Swedish cultures of akvavit will automatically see it as a style of gin and just think gin and tonic, but maybe a little bit more herbal, a bit more earthiness compared to, for example, the floral elements that we're a bit more used to here in the UK. Because obviously, akvavit's not just Sweden; it is a Nordic, Scandinavian,
Exactly.
into sort of Germany a little bit as well, isn't it?
Absolutely. And I think there's such a range of the types of akvavit you can have as well. I think ours is much more floral and fruity and very fresh and green, but you can also get akvavit that's quite heavy and bitter, and that's kind of the fun with akvavit. I think when you grow up drinking akvavit in Sweden, it's most of the time you're just used to the burn in the throat. You don't enjoy the flavor so much, but after a while you get there. But I think this one is perfect because this one isn't a struggle. This one is delicious regardless if you like akvavit or not.
I was gonna say it's well, it's 38%. So is it one of the lowest ABV products you have?
It's actually not the lowest anymore. It is the lowest of our gin products because it is still a gin. But now we've actually started making things that we call our gin buddies, which are actually lower ABV and they're not containing gin. So they've actually got a whole different flavor profile. One which is called Aperitif Röd, and this one it's actually based on apple wine that we buy in, and then we add lots of these lingonberries again, something called rowan berries. I don't know if you have rowan berries.
We haven't got them. I know what they are though.
Yeah, and again, red or orange berries that are impossible to eat because they're so sour, but a high vitamin C content. And then we also have oranges and a few different roots that give us sort of a bitter flavor. So this one is at 22%, so it's a lower alcohol, but a different type of product for us. So that was really fun to work with as well. But of the gins, our akvavit is definitely the lowest one that we have. And we think mainly it tastes best at 38%. Alcohol obviously affects flavor very much. So if you bring up the alcohol too much, that dill might get a little bit too powerful there. So we like the balance at 38% instead is perfect for us, really.
Fantastic. Well, I've just seen the comments on Facebook here. Gavin says that the akvavit is sensational. Multiple exclamation marks after it. It's a dill explosion, is what he's saying. And Hannah has also said that we can actually get lingonberry jam at, I can't believe I didn't think of this, IKEA.
Oh, IKEA, of course. Yes, IKEA provides everyone with their Scandinavian goods. Of course. Well, then you can use lingonberry jam maybe to garnish instead. And we've started making a jam with one of our bakeries in the area, because when we make this pink gin, these 2 big bags of lingonberries, we only use them for 2 hours. They're fine. There's nothing wrong with them. They're a little bit ginny. So then we give them to the bakery and they make lingonberry jam that they then sell, which is a really nice way to reuse these byproducts as well. So it's something we try and think about a lot of the time as well. But great to hear that you're loving the akvavit. That's a big bonus.
I was gonna say, because Hannah's also just put absolutely in love with the akvavit. So good. So it's great, but it's I don't think it's ever going to be the biggest seller out of the core range that we have. But it's great that it's not just London, but I've seen over the years embracing it. it seems to be getting across the rest of the UK, and a bit of an understanding of what's, you know, not just obviously Stockholm and Sweden, but a category that is huge for you guys, and we know of it. It's starting to really infiltrate through, and bars and restaurants are starting to utilize it a lot more as well. Fingers crossed, when we're allowed to, we can actually start drinking it in a bar as well.
Exactly. No, I think everyone will be looking forward to that day when that comes. No, it's really great. And you can see even the akvavit in general, the trend is growing across the world. People are testing it. Bartenders are making the choice to use an akvavit instead of a vodka or a gin. And that's, yeah, you can make some really interesting flavor combinations there as well. So great to see that you guys are brave and trying it and enjoying it is always good. I think that's about it from me today. You're welcome to, obviously, if you're watching this afterwards, write comments and we can answer your comments there if you need to. And yeah, feel free to ask us anything. And I hope you all enjoy our gin.
Fantastic.
Sorry,
well,
sorry, I was just going to ask, like, obviously you guys have innovated so much with all your different portfolios and stuff, but is there something, would it be something that you guys would be interested in expanding out with gin or anything like that, or are you quite happy with the portfolio you have just now?
I mean, our portfolio is mainly gin based, and that's always going to be our soul and our start. But now is really when we're starting to experiment with other things, like our röd aperitif, and then also, you know, new products that are coming. We did some pre-batch cocktails as well. Now at Christmas we have a Negroni. So we had a Christmas Negroni that we made here, which was also really nice to experiment with something different. So it had obviously our gin in it, but also it was cherry juice.
Yeah, cherry and blackcurrant, and also apple wine and a bitter Christmas bitter that we made with cloves and cumin and all kinds of Christmas spices.
So we're definitely experimenting with other products and other possibilities now as well.
Nice.
So,
nice.
well, thank you, Jessica. I'd like to sort of move on to Karis now and get a bit of an idea what Local Selects is about. We know that it's obviously been here since October last year, but you have started with a Stockholm-focused box for anyone to purchase.
Yeah.
Can you give us an idea what it's all about and why you went for Stockholm first?
Yeah. So I work for a company called the Startup Drinks Lab, just based outside of Glasgow, and we're a craft drinks producers making a variety of brands from gins, soft drinks, hard seltzers and stuff. And as a small producer ourselves, we felt the instant effects of COVID-19 back in April. In order to help others in the same situation, we launched Local Selects, whereby it was a series of different items that we worked with small producers from Glasgow and out with Edinburgh and stuff like that to be able to still sell to consumers because they mainly sold on trade. From that, the interest that we gained in people loving supporting small craft producers and stuff, we thought we'd expand this out to different European cities. Therefore now, taking on this new brand approach from October, the twist being each box focuses on a different city across the world, and each item being contained within each box is being recommended by the locals from that city.
Okay.
Yeah, so we took on like a lot of research and stuff and spoke with locals from the cities, and what, rather than just your kind of bigger producers and what's in a popular, we looked at what people from the city would recommend to almost experience the city like a local. So that's the approach we took on it. We now have two cities, so we've got our Glasgow boxes, but we've also got their first city box being Stockholm box. Delighted to have been included in the British Airways High Life for the Valentine's Day edition. But first of all, we were delighted to partner up with you guys and Stockholm's Branneri gin for our very first box. Being the first craft gin of Stockholm, I think it was the perfect fit for the Stockholm box, especially with like, amazing branding. We all tried the product and loved it ourselves, highly recommended by others. Stockholm obviously is such a really cool and unique city, and we wanted to let people explore the different brands that are available and loved by the locals within the city. And also thought, coming up to lead with Christmas, we knew that Christmas was celebrated so well in Scandinavia. I thought it would be a really, really good city to basically start off with in that sort of theme. So yeah, and it is just such a unique city. I wanted to start off with something a bit cool and unique, something that people maybe hadn't experienced much before. So that's how I started with it, yeah.
Fantastic. And obviously you've got the Stockholms Bränneri London Dry edition, haven't you?
Yep.
Sorry, the dry gin, not London Dry.
Yeah, yep.
So obviously, for what the guys can get, can you give us an idea what else is in that box?
Yeah, so we started off just with the Stockholm Branneri dry gin, partnered with Swedish tonic, the neutral tonic, and then also just with the trends of the sort of flavoured tonics, we included another flavoured tonic within that as well, just for different people's tastes. We also included a beer brand called Beer Bibliotek. We know they're not from Stockholm specifically, but in the research we undertook, they are quite a well-known craft brand within the whole Sweden, and they were just highly recommended. We've got our reindeer jerky, which is a bit of a unique product, but it was what was really fitting with the sort of Scandinavian theme that we were going for. Something a bit unique as well that everyone could experience. And then we've got our Malmo chocolate fabric. I can't remember if I'm pronouncing that well, but
under pressure now.
Yeah, again, just recommended by locals, and I think it's really worked really well, and people have loved everything that's been included. We've had amazing feedback from the quality of all the products. So yeah, I'm excited to see what else different sort of, if we included potentially the akvavit. I think that would be really interesting to do in future. And yep.
Fantastic. I think it's great. I know when I first heard about the collaboration as we're putting everything together for you, it was great to obviously have a focus on Stockholm. It, as a city in its own right, you know, it's a place I've been before. Like I say, I was about to go back just before the first lockdown back in last March for us. And as I was saying before, I do know a fair few people in the sort of hospitality industry in Stockholm itself. But to sort of see it and sort of grow with yourselves, Karis, over the last couple of months, it's been fantastic. And the responses we've seen, people purchasing the boxes, to people sharing the your social media support, and of course when we've been talking about it from our end, it's captured a lot of people's minds of. It's not just what you'd expect from, say, a London sort of style box, or it's another Paris-driven box. It's a city that I think doesn't get a lot of respect or a lot of exposure, sorry, and to sort of have a focus on that, and not just to do, here's a gin, it's a couple of tonics, hope you like it. You've given a bit more of an in-depth idea what Stockholm is about, which is fantastic, and that's the reason why we wanted to be involved with you to sort of kickstart this city-driven box for you.
Yeah, that's why we're going with something like Stockholm, because I think it is something that not a lot of people have experienced, and I think they've just got so much innovation and such cool brands such as Stockholm's Branded that people can explore. So yeah, it was a really good city to start off with. I think as well, which we never really took into consideration, was the amount of people buying this and like, oh, it's a taste of one of the favourite cities that I've been to, and like giving it as gifts and to like their partners or sons and daughters, like remember the taste of Stockholm, that kind of thing. So it's really good to bring that sort of memorable aspect to the gifting as well.
Fantastic. Well, Karis, I know that you've put together a bit of a discount code for anyone who's watching today. So do you want to explain what that's all about?
Yep. So I've created a discount code. It's Emporia 10, and that will give you 10% off your Local Selects box if you would like to try Stockholm's Branneri dry gin. I highly recommend it. So yeah, Emporia 10, and you can use that code at the checkout. Fantastic.
Is that Emporia 10 or TEM?
Sorry, 10. Yeah.
10. Fantastic. Well, ladies and gentlemen, so we'll make sure that that's link and to purchase directly from Local Select is within the bio of this video on our Facebook page. I will make sure that the discount code is live for you as well. I know a handful of people, I feel, from a consumer element, will definitely be taking full advantage. They've been missing the fact they couldn't go over to Sweden for midsummer and so on and so forth. So I know for a fact that's going to be taken full advantage of, as it should do, to, of course, experience Stockholms Bränneri for the very first time, if not to replenish the stock you may have drank through God knows how many lockdowns we've had so far in the last 18 months or so. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I feel that we've had a fantastic opportunity here to really dive into what Stockholms Bränneri is all about. The first distillery in Stockholm, and of course the variety of products, not just gin, but akvavit as well, and some great ideas of what else is available. You have the opportunity to get over to Stockholm. And of course, I'm guessing there are distillery tours for anyone who can make it to Stockholm once allowed.
Absolutely. If you can get here, then you should come to the distillery. We're still doing tastings for very small groups, and we hope soon in the summer, if we're all lucky, then we can open up for some more bar nights and events. So if you make it here, then definitely drop us a line and come visit the distillery.
Fantastic. I think it's always great, especially from the team here at Emporia, to have a distillery where we can actually showcase properly, and have the opportunity to visit ourselves face to face, have some great cocktail ideas, which the gin and tonics you've been making with the garnishes that are localized, and to really embrace what the gins and the akvavit are all about. Thank you, Karis, for getting involved here today as well, and the opportunity to show off what your ideas have been with the Stockholm box. And thank you, of course, for using Stockholms Bränneri within that. We are obviously more than happy, as you've seen, to make sure that as many people as possible are fully aware of what you guys are doing. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you've got any questions after this, or if you're watching it at a later date, as Jessica quite rightly says, please do feel free to comment. We will pick those comments up and we'll answer those questions as best as we can. If you are interested from a bar and restaurants, trade or retail version, please do give us a call or drop us an email at info@emporiabrands.com, or contact them directly on the Facebook page. It'll go straight to me, and we will work out how we can get some Stockholms Bränneri into your venue in time for when lockdown is up, whatever that will be. Until then, obviously, thank you very much, Jessica and Cal, for Karis, for getting involved. Like I say, any questions, please do drop us a line. But until then, we will see you all for the next webinar here on Emporia Brands Facebook page, which we do at some point in March. We're clarifying the dates. As expected, when we want to go live with people in the distilleries, we can always, there's a couple of weeks leeway, but we're going to have some fantastic things from Martinique as we look at Rum Clement. So join us for that. As soon as we have the details, we'll be posting that onto our Facebook page. But like I say, thank you, Jessica and Cal. Thank you, Karis, for showing off what Stockholm Bränneri is all about. And we will see you all very, very soon.
Thanks very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.